This is not America. Agree.
For everybody that is in LA and feeling frozen with fear and sadness because of these ICE raids, how can we help? Like, it's devastating to see these people's families ripped apart. It's devastating to see people being violent. It's devastating to see all the military vehicles around the entire city. It's devastating to drive down the street and see nobody on the road. Like, I have a loud mouth, I'm protesting, but like, what else can we do to help? Like, if you're one of my followers, I know there's a few of you in here that are close to what's going on, but please reach out to me and tell me that you're okay, because I want to help somehow. There are many people out here that want to help and we don't know what to do. Let us know how we can help you. It's just fucking terrible. Like, if you're a person that voted for Trump, how can you be okay with this? How can you be okay with having a president that creates chaos? And in the meantime, they're shipping tanks and all these military vehicles to Washington, D.C. for his stupid parade next Saturday. Like, this is insane, you guys. This is the United States of America. This is supposed to be the land of the free, and this is not free.
This is not America.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. President. Why do the federal ICE agents wear masks covering their face? If they're not ashamed of what they're doing and they're not doing anything illegal, why are they wearing masks covering their identity? Don't the American people have a right to see who they are? Are they a new form of secret police? Tell the ICE agents take off their masks, Mr. President. The American people have a right to know who they are.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching me from. Welcome back to my YouTube commentaries. I did not post an episode yesterday for some reasons, unavoidable reasons, but I'm sorry. And I'm back again, and today I'm coming big and bigger. Now, while I was away, I was perusing through my social media, and I saw videos where I see agents are dealing with immigrants, And at some point you go and find immigrants. They're working on maybe on a shop, on a grocery store of a white American, and the way they are being treated, it's so awful, And something that caught my eyes is that IC agents are dragging people out of their homes, okay, but in a way of brutalizing, okay, and white Americans have find themselves in the midst of these dragging things, When ICE are dealing with immigrants, families are ripped apart in front of children. And I cannot help but say, black people told you. Black people told you so. I know it's tough, it is harsh, but all brown and white people, the Mexicans, the Latinos, even Africans who have been found in the midst of this immigration thing, and white Americans too, they have been found themselves in the midst of this. All of them are seeing what black people have been saying for long, because black people told you the system wasn't built to protect. They told you that the system was built to control, and for years white America ignores black people. For years Latinos ignored black people, and they told black people that they were exaggerating, overreacting, lying. But now you see these videos and tell me what's going on here.
Agents, immigration agents getting violent with people who they should not be touching or getting violent with. And this is a perfect example. This lady was, of course, incredibly upset that her husband was yanked out of court and arrested and detained. And she's worried about him because she knows the conditions are terrible where he's going. and she's crying, and she gets thrown to the ground by an ICE agent and hits her head. What is this coming to? What is ICE doing? And it's we're going to continue to follow this particular story, because it is just one example of too many where we have these secret police officers who are attacking our communities with excessive violence, excessive force, and they just think that they can do it with impunity because nobody is holding them accountable. And so we're doing everything we can to hold them accountable.
And Congressman Davis right now has excused the incident.
So how you doing? My name is AG, and you are?
Doug Merrifield.
Pleasure meeting you. So what do you hope to accomplish being out here with everyone today?
First of all, to have a show of presence, a show of energy, a show of resistance.
Okay. And what is the overall goal that everyone here is trying to achieve?
To get every human being a place to live in freedom and liberty. And safety.
I agree. Those are good goals, actually. And my next question is, what would be your solution to provide those goals or to accomplish those goals?
A public discussion as much as possible.
Now, I am 100% Caucasian, as far as Ancestry.com knows. And I am American, born and raised in America. U.S. citizen, but I have spent some time in an ICE holding unit. When I was in jail, see, I used to be in active addiction. I was really a pain in the ass to the community and anyone else for that matter, but found myself in jail. And they had an ICE unit. It was a separate unit, separate building, contracted to the U.S. government to house immigration deportees or whatever. And then they had the original jail, where they held all of us white folks, black folks, and just, your average American. Well, they moved me over to the ICE unit for, I don't know, I guess space. I don't know. But man, over at that ICE unit, they had satellite TVs, they had vending machines, which we didn't have in the regular part of the jail. And it was just a much nicer place. They had to, because it's federal regulations. But what struck me is that, I got to talking to some people in there, and there was a guy, and I'm not making a political statement here at all. I'm just sharing my experience of a white dude being in a nice holding unit for a little while. And there was a guy in there, he was originally from Germany. He had been over here forever, since he was teenager, I think. And this is according to him anyway. I mean, who the hell knows? He could have been an axe murderer. I don't know. But he had rear-ended someone, but he was undocumented. He didn't have any documentation. He wasn't a citizen. And when he rear-ended someone in his neighborhood, they realized that, and they locked his ass up. And he had been in there for like 2 years waiting for trial, waiting for his hearing. And then there were some other ones from like Mexico, Honduras that, drunk driving, crashing cars, causing disturbances, doing dumb shit, and from other countries as well. And their ass was sitting there waiting to get deported. But, that was my experience of being in an ICE unit, man. I heard some stories that were like, damn, man, this dude just had bad luck. And God, I hope it works out for him. I hope they're able to stay. I hope he's able to get his shit together. And then there were some that I heard, I was like, yeah, see ya. Good riddance. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
I'll be signing a bill, the first in the nation, saying enough. To ICE, unmask. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? If you're going to go out and you're going to do enforcement, provide an ID. Tell us which agency you represent. Provide us basic information that all local law enforcement is required to provide.
As somebody myself who has experience working in security, I can tell you right now that I would be fired and likely arrested if I put my hands on an individual the way that this ICE agent did. This is not a legal maneuver that you can use to restrain somebody, especially when they're not posing a physical threat. To this ICE agent, I ask you, where do you think you work? Target? Great America? No, you're an ICE agent, which means that you're going to be dealing with individuals that are highly emotional, especially when they have family members that are being ripped from their arms without due process. So you need to expect these types of reactions. And if you can't handle that, then you need to get the fuck out. Because there will come a time in the very near future where those of you that we have documented on footage will be held accountable and will be brought to justice. It's just a matter of time. So if you can't handle it, you gotta go. What you just did is physical assault. And anybody working in security or in any scope of work would be fired and arrested for what you just did to this woman. Putting your hands on her, shoving her down to the ground like she's not even human.
Well, I'm standing outside Valley Car Wash, where on September 9th, our client was physically assaulted by ICE agents and taken into a detention for 12 hours, where he witnessed horrifics in the Metropolitan Detention Center. And we're representing Rafi, and we're going to sue the United States of America for civil rights violations. Now, this is very important. We had a Supreme Court decision by Justice Kavanaugh where he said, look, if you're a U.S. citizen, you just a slight detention, you just show your ID. Even after Rafi showed his ID, and he had broken ribs, an elbow that looked like it was coming out of his arm, difficulty breathing because he recently had heart surgery and was begging for medical attention. He showed his ID. They say, oh, you're a citizen. What are you doing here? They kept him for another 10 hours without any medical attention whatsoever. We just met with CNN. This is going to be a national story, and we are hoping that by bringing this situation to light, by amplifying it, that it will make people realize that the United States of America is using our tax dollars to engage in human rights abuses every day in our communities, in our neighborhood. This is a well-populated car wash in Van Nuys, California, and look at what happens. You have the owner ending up getting badly injured by our federal agents when all he was trying to do was talk to them, and instead they brutally assaulted him. We have to put a stop to this.
The ICE agent that grabbed that woman and threw her to the ground, that's going all over social media. I don't know how any man that's sitting here saying that we protect women and we do things right could sit by and watch that and feel like that was okay. Are you kidding me? In front of her child, she touched his shirt, and he took that as an opportunity to use maximum force on that woman. The anger and the violence and the hatred is right there in your faces, people. There is no other way to describe that but as disgusting. And you know what? I hope that that type of behavior that we keep seeing around the country against people that are crying out, begging out to these ICE agents, these women, I hope it backfires on this administration's agenda. Because what's going to end up happening, any human being, women, even Republican and MAGA women, know that that wasn't right. But men, you know it wasn't right either. And what's going to happen is when you reach down into your conscience and your heart, maybe when you leave after church on Sunday, you can think about that video and what's really happening and how nobody's speaking up. Because what? They're not important? They're not supposed to be here? Her husband wasn't supposed to be here? She was pleading, take me with him. Her daughter there. And people will sit around and make excuses for that man like he was under attack or she shouldn't have been screaming at him, hollering at him. There's no excuse for that. No excuse. So anybody that teaches their kids, their sons, that hopes that their husbands and fathers wouldn't touch and put their hands on their wife or females like that, If you think that's okay, I would definitely check your husband intentions. I would definitely stop and think, is this how this male in my life really feels? That women should be treated like that? It was disgusting to watch. And it's over and over in the feeds. Because other people are really finding it pretty blatantly abusive and shocking. So I hope that this backfires on the administration. And you are going to start seeing people that are going to say, okay, enough's enough. Because these guys are running around doing whatever the hell they want. And that shows you some of these agents, they're not getting the proper training they need, huh? Just a $50,000 sign-on bonus. Something towards your school loans. Sign them up. Shameful. Please let me know what your thoughts are in the chat. And be sure to share the video. Put your thoughts in there and share the video so other people can hear and see what's really happening. Let me know. Bye.
This is not America. A grieving wife and mother in front of her 2 kids was shoved to the ground by an ICE agent yesterday, which led to her needing to go to the hospital. Well, yeah, the context of this is after her husband was detained by ICE for violating our country's immigration laws. As you can see, he resisted arrest like crazy, which put him, the agents, and his family at risk as well. And then after he was arrested, his wife was given multiple warnings by this agent. Warnings of him screaming adios. Well, yeah, and then she put her hands on the ICE agent. And I'm sorry, you cannot put your hands on a law enforcement official in a tense situation and not expect some blowback. Okay, first off, I cannot even believe you are trying to defend this right now, because even a spokesperson for the DHS said this agent's actions were unacceptable and beneath the men and women of ICE, and that he has been relieved of current duties during an investigation. Did he take it a little too far? Maybe, but you gotta realize ICE agents are on edge because assaults against them are up 1,000% in the last year, and just days ago, a sniper opened fire at an ICE facility in Dallas. So I'm sorry if agents respond a little to the extreme side when hands are put on them. On the extreme side, by throwing a crying mother half the size of him in front of her kids to the ground. But also context matters. This took place in the hallway outside an immigration court in New York City, meaning first off, the mother had gone through metal detectors and security, so there was no feasible way this little mother posed any threat to that man. Can you put your hands on a judge or a cop after they check you for weapons? I mean, going through security doesn't give you free reign to get handsy with law enforcement. Dude, it was a crying mother. It's okay to show a little humanity, but can we also talk about the fact that her husband was arrested right after showing up to court for his immigration case? He was complying with the law, trying to do things the legal way. What does this say to other undocumented Americans? If you don't want to get deported and separated from your family and have your wife thrown to the ground, don't go to court. If I'm arrested for a DUI and I go to court with my family, there's a good chance at the end of my trial I will be separated and taken into custody. And because a lot of these illegals stay on the low and are hard to find, and sanctuary cities barely comply with the feds, in most cases, courtrooms are the safest and best place for ICE to carry out immigration law. Well, according to Brad Lander, these agents did not identify themselves, did not present a warrant, and did not give any lawful grounds for his detention. All this mother saw was the father of her children kidnapped by armed men. I think she deserved a little grace for being somewhat distraught. Look, like I've said, ICE has to follow the laws set by Congress, and they take Fourth Amendment refresher trainings every 6 months, and there are multiple offices within the DHS providing oversight if rules are broken, which is why this agent in this case has been relieved of current duties during an investigation. Yeah, well, I think the entirety of the Trump administration needs a refresher on a thing called grace for grieving mothers and families of undocumented immigrants who just want to live in peace with the rest of us. We can't just pick and choose the laws our country enforces because someone is crying. Yeah, I can just feel the humanity coming from you. You need to talk to a therapist, Bob. Yeah, because I have to talk to you every day. Yeah.
Before I even get into ICE, before we talk about the raids, before we talk about the viral videos that are going on, the ones I've shown you, let me go back because I love to refresh memory. And Black Americans have a long memory of brutality, okay? Let's go back when all this started, because the truth is police brutality did not begin in 2025 or 2020 or even in the 1960s. No, it began on the plantations, okay? The first police in America were not peacekeepers. They were slave catchers. Their job wasn't to protect the community. It was to protect the system of slavery, okay? They hunted down runaway Africans. They patrolled plantations to keep black people in chains. They beat them, okay? And when they even resisted, it was too bad. And that was the birth of American policing back then. It began way back, okay? And after slavery too, after slavery ended, those same forces didn't disappear. They became sheriffs and deputies under Jim Crow. They enforced segregations. They enforced lynching culture by looking away when mobs murdered black people or unaliving black people. They kept black people poor and protected and vulnerable, okay? And when black communities rose up and demand justice, it was something else. Think about the civil rights movement. The police were right there with fire hoses, dogs, and batons. So for black Americans, police brutality is not an isolated incident. It is not new. It is generational trauma. It is the history written in blood. Now, here's the problem. Whenever black people speak out, whenever we spoke out, back then, whenever we cried, let me use we because I'm generalizing the black people. Whenever we marched, white American often refused to listen. When Rodney King was beaten on camera in 1991, many white Americans said that maybe he did something wrong. Came to George Floyd. George Floyd in 2020, people say that if he just compiled, maybe it will not reach there or that would not happen. So they told us that police violence was rare. They told us it was about a few bad apples. A lot of black Americans have been telling me these stories. Sometimes they just follow you without any mistakes, you know. And they have been telling black Americans for long to respect the badge, respect authority, and everything will be safe. But safety never came to black people. Respecting authority never saved black people. Compliance never saved us. We buried our dead while white Americans continue to deny the pain of black people. And now in 2025, as ICE videos flood on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, white America are finally realizing the system was never about justice because it is hitting on them too. You saw the video where a white American was shouting, I am American, I'm American. You know, now it is eating its own kids. Now, let me talk of the videos. Let me talk about ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. That's the name, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. On paper, ICE is about protecting borders and enforcing immigration law. But in reality, ICE is just a new face of an old system. The same tactics used against enslaved Africans in the 1700s are being used today. Okay? Slave catchers raided black homes at night. This is what ICE are doing. They are raiding immigrants' homes at night. They are raiding them at the workplaces. Okay? Slave patrols dragged people out in front of their children. Now ICE does the same thing. Slave catchers carried whips and guns. ICE agents carry assault rifles. The difference is only in the uniform, not the purpose. And the purpose is to control. Control of labor, control of fear, control of people who don't have the power to fight back. And for decades, black Americans have warned, if you allow unchecked state violence to exist, it will explode. It will not stop with black people, it will spread. And now we are seeing this. You know, I came across these videos of white American catching themselves in the middle of these raffles, and I was like, God damn it. This is white person, middle class white man, not rich. So that tells you how if you don't give something, then something will be taken away from you forcefully. And one of the greatest myths in America is that the police protect everyone equally. For a number of years, white America believed the badge was their friend. When they called 911, help came. When they called 911, sometimes the police came and, white America, I see videos where they are calling 911 on black people and getting that quick response. And that's where I learned that black people doesn't have anything to say on this stuff. White America thought the system worked for them because they were white. But what they are learning is in 2025, the badge does not protect loyalty. It protects power. And power doesn't care if you're white, if you're Latino, Asian, or African. When it feels threatened. Mexican, Latinos, they voted for DJT. But DJT laws, immigration laws has not spared them. They are the one who are being targeted. I saw even Africans, some from Nairobi, they were brought back here, They were caught in these wrangles. So the system does not care, does not protect loyalty. That's what I was saying, okay? And that's now white America starting to see what it feels like to be on the other side of the baton. They are seeing their neighbors deported. They are seeing their co-workers raided. They are seeing their, employees raided, their communities terrorized, and suddenly the myth of protection is shattered. I want us to pause a little bit and to think about what is going on, because this is not about politics. It's about people, real families, real children. Imagine being a child and watching armed men drag your father away in the handcuffs, being dragged down, your mother being pushed like the video we saw. Imagine screaming for your mother as agents just push her into the, that trauma doesn't leave it. It shapes a child's entire life. And Black Americans knows this pain well, because for centuries, Black families were ripped apart by force during slavery. The Black children were sold off, during Jim Crow. Our fathers were lynched. The mass incarceration, the families were destroyed during colonization. Our fathers and brothers and cousins, they were stolen away. Now, immigrants, even some poor white people are living that same nightmare, and it is being live streamed for the world to see. So this is hitting white America so hard. Why? Because they believed they were safe. They believed the violence they saw on TV was only on for the other people, and they told themselves that happens to Black folks won't happen to us. Even Latinos, even Asians, even Mexicans, they thought being brown, having a color near to white, it's an advantage to them. And that's why they voted against them. Okay? So they thought their whiteness insulated them. But when ICE kicks down the door of white immigrants, family from Eastern Europe, suddenly that whiteness is not enough. When poor white communities get targeted for being underserved, suddenly they realize the system doesn't love them either. And this is an awakening, but it is hard, rough awakening, because to admit that police brutality is real, that means that, or admitting that Black people were right all along. And many in white America are not ready to face the truth. And the key lesson here is injustice never stay contained. You cannot build a system of oppression and expect it to only target one group forever. Oppression is like fire. Once it is lit, it spreads. So when America allowed police to brutalize Black people, it created a culture of unchecked power. Okay? And that same culture now fuels the ICE raids. Okay? And that same culture fuels mass incarceration. That same culture fuels militarized police at protest. So injustice always expand. And now it is touching groups that thought they were safe. It is touching group that they thought they were stimulants or, insulin. And Black people ain't surprised at all. That's the truth. Black people are not shocked. We are not surprised by the ICE videos. We are not surprised by the roughing and, the aids that arrive. We are not surprised by the brutality because Black people, we have lived on this for generations. When you see family crying on the sidewalk, as agents drag their loved ones away, Black people always remember that our own family is just the same, okay? When you see children screaming for their parents, Black people remember our own ancestors ripped from their mother's arm. And this is why Black people have been warning America for so long. Not because we wanted to be proven right, but because we wanted to to stop the violence, okay? And now I see anti-hate America outrage is selective. When the victims are Black, the country debates. When the victims are immigrants or white families, suddenly it is national news. Suddenly America wants to talk about reform. Why does the suffering of Black people need to be multiplied, need to be echoed and repeated through other groups before it matters? Why? Why is our world not enough? Why did it take white America pain for America to listen? Okay? So the selective outrage is the proof of the racism that still lies at the core of the country. The question is, now that white American, now that Mexican, now that Latinos, now that any other race is waking up, what will they do? What are you going to do? Will you finally join the fight for justice? Or will they only protest when they are the ones being targeted? Because true justice means fighting for everyone, not just for yourself. And Black people have carried this struggle almost alone for centuries. Black people marched, protested, jailed, unalived, and yet they never gave up. Now that others feel the same, it is time to join the unity, not pity, not charity, okay? But real solidarity, because when you make no mistake, the system will not stop on its own. Power will not stop on its own. Power never surrenders willingly. It must be challenged, okay? And the more voices we raise, the louder the call for change becomes. That's all I have for today, okay? Tell me what you think on the comment section about that video. Until next episode, peace out.